So Boyd, it's lovely to meet you, and thank you for agreeing to do the interview. I was doing my homework, looked up the Irish Cricket Union website, and under you it says 153 matches, 229 wickets, and then there's another stat: fourth tallest player in Test history. That's on their website. Yeah.
Interesting.
Who else is on that list?
World cricket.
Yeah. Test players.
Joel Garner probably would be one.
Yeah, he's taller or same size, or this is like taller or larger. Taller.
Well, Chris Tremel was the same size as me.
All right. So Joel,
60.
it says Joel Garner is a centimetre shorter than you.
Okay.
Yeah. You're either third or fourth, depending on what list you look at, by the way. But Mohammed Ifran.
Mohammed Ifran would be he's
7'1", yeah.
Is he 7'1"?
7'1" according to my research. So as a big unit, and you grew up in the southwest. Were any other sports ever chasing you outside of cricket because of your physical?
Well, at school I played rugby throughout school, and then I played a bit of football, but I was a goalie for a while. I had a few. I would have liked to have. I was never in that background of in terms of GAA, but I had a few friends said, "Oh, you'd be a good centre half," and I'd be like, yeah, I'd quite like to have had a chance to give that a go, but yeah, it wasn't something that I played when I was.
When did your participation in other sports fall away and cricket really kind of take centre place?
Probably when I finished school, finished the grammar school, when I was 17, 18. That was I would have played. Basically, well, I played any sport. I was sort of mad, just like in terms of sport, mad. I would have played anything, but yeah, generally when I left school at 18, I actually went over to England to study agriculture over there, and I signed a summer contract with Middlesex for that summer. So that was sort of the first year where I thought I probably need to concentrate on one sport at that point.
Go for one sport.
Yeah.
When you look back at your school years, what would you say to young people at school now who have got aptitude at more than one sport or physical prowess that makes them suitable to be able to play 2 or 3 sports at a good level? What advice would you give to someone at that stage now about that type of a range of ability?
I would let them play as many sports as possible for as long as they can. And I obviously that it's maybe more difficult now, but I would still want them to try and play more sports up till 16, 17 anyway. More so just the fact that, well, I find now as a coach seeing younger players come through that are just playing cricket, they just don't have that, they don't have that, I suppose, capability of movement in terms of even mobility, and just they're just not a fully formed athlete. I think that the more sports you play, the more I think more well rounded you are as an athlete.
Yeah. When you went to England, go to uni, was moving to uni in England linked to the idea that you're going to be playing cricket at?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. Yeah. To be honest, whenever I grew up, I obviously loved playing sport. But I never dreamt that I was going to be play cricket full time. From that point, now, I was always generally bigger than most others in my in terms of age group. But my ultimate plan was, I obviously from a family farm.
Mm-hmm.
I went to university, studied to study agriculture, to come back and try and take over the family farm. So. That wasn't the main reason why I went. I went to do that, and then just by chance that summer I actually made my debut for the Ireland senior team over in England. Mm-hmm. And there was a few sort of scouts at that point came, watched a few games, and then they contacted me off the back of that and said, "Listen, we would like you to come over." I think they said come over and trial sort of during the winter time, and I didn't really have any interest in doing that at that point. I was sort of, I suppose, like a bit naive at that point. I was young. All I wanted to do is, I suppose, focus on cricket and obviously in terms of uni as well. But whenever I went to uni, I didn't actually play any sport the first year when I was at uni. Um, probably probably drank too much, ate too much. First year was a good
fun,
year, a
yeah.
good fun. Yeah, probably too much fun to a point where I actually turned up for fitness testing at Middlesex around, I think it was about March April time, and the guy said, "Geez, like you've had a good time over the winter," and I was like, "What do you mean?" It's like, oh right, okay, I need to probably
Shape up.
try and knuckle down here. So it wasn't until that point that I actually thought, you know what, I've actually maybe got a chance of playing.
Yeah. So Boyd, I mean, we heard the introduction about how long your career has been, how illustrious it has been, and it sounds like almost an accidental start.
Mm.
You go to university, you don't play sport in the first year, and then you're joining a county cricket team.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock to the system, to be honest. But yeah, whenever you look back at it like that, maybe in a way, it maybe helped me because I don't know. Maybe nowadays, young people, there is a lot of pressure on young people to obviously do well, and they maybe think they maybe put too much pressure on themselves to try and make it. And then you see a lot of ones maybe falling away. And or like maybe they just like fall out of love of actually doing it, whereas maybe I obviously love playing sport, love playing cricket, but there was still more to life than just cricket for me. So, but I suppose once it sort of clicked with me that I could potentially do this full time, then that's probably when I probably then realized I need to actually knuckle down here and make sure I try and do everything I can to try and be the best I can be. And obviously, like fitness was like really important in that. I probably wasn't the fittest kid growing up, and I probably didn't realize that till maybe my early 20s. I probably didn't go into the gym much.
I mean, it sounds almost a casual entry into professional sport, and I'm wondering then, where did the fire that made you push for 20 years come from then, given that, fresher who was just having a good time and not really looking to do anything on a cricket field? Where did the fire come from that kept you going and going so well for so long?
I think I've always had a good, like, in terms of like work and like in terms of like work ethic. Obviously growing up on a farm, you'd be doing a lot of like manual stuff, a lot of long hours. Even as a young kid, I was doing that. So I think a lot of that grounding for me helped me then when I got to that stage. Like it obviously took a lot of hard work, for me to actually then get to that point where I felt that I could, play full time. And I think that for me, even just looking, there was probably a lot more skillful players than me, but I suppose I probably just wanted it more.
Okay.
In terms of,
Did you always believe in those first couple of years that you were going to make a career out of it?
probably no, not the first couple of years. So that was 2004 was my first summer contract. It probably wasn't until 2006, 2007 World Cup when we went with Ireland to the 2007 World Cup. That was probably the stage where I thought actually I can make a career out of it here. Where obviously we went on that 2007 World Cup. A lot of us was amateurs. There was a few sort of semi-professionals, but yeah, ultimately we went there. We wanted to obviously do as well as we could. We never probably dreamt it would have went as well as what it did do. But then that sort of kick started the I suppose that fire then to actually get better and better, because you're obviously, we had done a lot of work up to that, and I think that winter prior to the World Cup, we actually got supported through Sport NI, as far as I'm aware, and we did a lot of training at like Jordanstown, that whole winter, and that was my first proper winter where I was training like a pro athlete basically. So it did open my eyes to realize that actually once you fully commit to something, then you can like achieve anything you want. But it's just I still think you need to have that inner drive to want to succeed and the belief that you can do it. Because I said there's multiple players that I feel that were as good as me, if not better, but they maybe just didn't want it as much. And that's for me now as a coach, or that like coaches hat on. For me, I try and look for players that have got that good like work ethic, and you can obviously upskill them. But if they're good at that side of things, it'll I think it's a massive like starting point for them.
Yeah, you're one of I think 4 men who've played for both Ireland and England in Test cricket, I think, and about 17 in World cricket.
Okay.
So somebody can look this up on Wikipedia later on. But you're in a very small minority of people who've played at such a high level for 2 different countries. And I do want to ask you about the English experience, but because you mentioned that World Cup, tell us about your memories of. I think you played Zimbabwe before you beat Pakistan. So take us into back to the event 20 years ago and some of the things that you remember most clearly from that.
The thing that stands out straight away is pretty much throughout that World Cup, the night before the game, I probably didn't sleep a wink during that. Just the nervousness. Like I suppose for me personally, I would have never played at that world stage before, so it was all new. There's obviously like a lot of spotlight on us at a World Cup, so it was probably just. I think once we got into the games and got going, it was fine, but just the build up to all the games, it was just there was obviously a lot of pressure. Well, like people would say, there was no pressure on us because nobody expected us to win, and we were sort of underdogs. But we probably still put pressure on ourselves because we knew ourselves as a team that we had a good enough team that if we perform on the day, we've got a really good chance of obviously beating sides, which we showed. But it was a bit surreal, to be honest. That first Zimbabwe game, for whatever reason, I actually thought we won the game, even though they tied it.
Right.
We come off the field and they're like, "Lads, we just won that game."
Yeah.
They're like, "We didn't. We just tied." We're
Yeah.
like, but like for us, it was a win because we knew then all we had to do was beat Pakistan, and then we were through. So, but
all we had to do was beat Pakistan.
Well, sorry, all we had to do, we had to beat
Yeah.
Pakistan. But it was just surreal. And then the morning of the game for like in terms of Pakistan, we all turned up, and the covers were still on the pitch we were playing on, and they eventually pulled them off, and we were all standing around, and it was like, gee, that pitch is quite green here. We were like, this is exactly what we want.
Okay. Now, for people who are not cricketers, what's the significance of that particular?
So generally, with a more of a green pitch, there's obviously more live grass on it, so the ball potentially will do more off the surface. So it'll sort of nip or like move off the surface.
Okay.
So for us, that brings us closer together as teams.
Okay.
Whereas if it was a very flat pitch with no grass on it, obviously Pakistan, they would be more used to those conditions.
Okay.
But us as growing up in Ireland, our pitches would be more greener.
It equalises a small bit.
Yes, exactly. So once we seen that, straight away, you could tell just in the group that like belief.
Okay.
That we were like, listen, lads, we've got a really good chance here of obviously trying to beat them. So I think we won the toss, managed to win the toss, and we bowled first.
Now, before you bowl your first over, you're all back in the pavilion. You're in the dressing room. Does someone speak? Is there a speech? Is there tactics? Is there a motivational talk, or is it every person with their own thoughts?
Generally, so we would do a lot of like analysis the day before. So we would do a lot of probably just as a team, we would go through all their batters and all their bowlers, so we're all clear in terms of what the opposition is
like to do,
trying to do, like in terms of strengths and weaknesses and stuff. but then generally morning of the game there would be generally Eddie Burrell, who was the coach at the time. He would generally say something, and Trent Johnson, who was the coach at the time, would chat as well. But I think both of them, from memory, it's a slightly bit of a blur now because it's that long ago, but generally it was all really positive, and just we had like ideal conditions for us, and it was just, I suppose we had put a lot of hard work in leading up to that, and it was just a matter of now going out and obviously like showcasing all that hard work that we've done, and luckily things went our way. That first innings, if I've been ultra critical as a team and personally, I probably bowled too many wides in it, but thankfully obviously we got wickets and we kept them to a reasonably low total. But yeah, that second innings, I think we didn't get off to a great start, and then there was a lot of nerves chasing down those last 20 runs. I'm generally quite a lower order batter.
Yeah.
I don't bat a lot, so whenever I have to get the pads on, we're starting to
It's not
struggle.
good sign,
It's not a good sign. So I think I went in, we had lost a few, and then we managed to build a partnership, and then at the back end we might have lost a couple again, and then I had to go and get my pads on, and the coach Eddie Burrell at the time, there was a TV in the corner of the changer, and he was just going up and down the change rooms and watching the game.
Yeah.
He was pretty nervous as well as a coach.
Yeah.
Like he was very calm
Yeah.
in terms of speaking to us generally, but in no situation he was very, very nervous. So I ended up going in, sitting, trying to get my pads on, and he was going up and down, and I was like, I can't move from here now, I'm just going to wait and see, and then if there's a wicket then I go out, and me and him just sat in the dressing rooms watching
Transfixed,
TV, watching the TV, and then eventually Trent Johnson hit the ball for 6 and we won the game, and I just remember throwing my pads off and
Out onto the pitch.
sprinting out onto the pitch,
Yeah.
and he was following me out, so
Yeah. A lot of joy and some relief maybe as well.
yeah, like just like massive relief for us to sort of get over the line, because obviously we were there to try and showcase what we could do, but we knew it was a massive thing for Irish cricket, that tournament, to try and help us grow the game here as well. So yeah, it was that game especially obviously was a massive turning point for me and for Irish cricket. But I think just like in general, that whole like competition was really, really, I suppose, like in terms of really special for us as a group, but to try and kickstart like Cricket Ireland.
I think it was 10 years later Ireland were given test status.
Yes.
And in between you played for England. I want to ask you about that now, but just to go back to that particular game, am I right? We're right in remembering it's like the Hollywood thing. It was a St. Patrick's Day.
It was on St. Paddy's Day as well.
I mean, that's just what an incredible memory.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So
I suppose, sorry, one other thing actually I was thinking about there was, and it's something that it was the first time I used somebody like that, but through ICC funding, we had like a sports psych with us for a period of time he was with us the whole time, I think. But for me, that I would have never, like up to that point, especially with the big crowds and stuff, I would have had a routine of what I would have went through in terms of my prep, like day before and morning of the game. But it wasn't until I'd started working properly with the sports psych that I was really like diligent in terms of having a clear process of what I needed to go through, no matter if there was nobody at the ground or if there was 30,000 people at the ground. So for me, that was really.
What sort of things did you start to do differently then to take us into some of, because there'll be other competitors in other sports listen to your interview and they're getting up on a competition day and doing things.
Yeah.
So what did you do to get ready?
One of the things was in terms of like visualizing, being in that moment, like pre-game. So whether it was the day before, I'd be potentially standing. So generally, you can go and look at the pitch the day before. I'd be standing at the back of my mark, in terms of run up, and I'd be visualizing me running in, bowling the ball to whoever we're playing the next day, you know, having a clear picture of or whatever, like trying to get them out.
Okay.
So having that positive influence.
Okay,
Of
so doing that on the actually on the field.
doing it on the
Yeah,
field, but
okay.
then being able to do that like the night before, if you're in your hotel room, whatever, I've got it visually. I can go through that and go over it again, if you know what I
And
mean.
what are you what are you looking at as a bowler when you're starting on your mark, when you're doing that visualization? Is it your pace? Is it your action? Is it where you want to put the ball?
For me, it's more just the feeling of me being in rhythm
Okay.
and running in at a good pace. For me, it wasn't a massive one of actually trying to focus in on a spot in terms of where to bowl. For me, it was all more feel and trying to get it through to the keeper.
Right.
So for me, it's getting technical, but I was quite wide visioned.
Okay.
I wasn't narrow vision, so I was
Okay.
wide vision, and I was very much had to take everything in.
Okay.
Whereas I know other players are quite like narrow
And it's
vision
more
and they want
tunnel,
to
okay.
like tunnel vision sort of
Okay.
thing, but I had to go
So you're
wider.
seeing the broader field and
Yes.
placements and so on. Okay.
And I was taking all that in, but I was trying to then incorporate crowd, like thinking there's going to be a crowd here
Right.
and everything really, just so once you get into that position, it's not new to you.
Okay.
And it's
And when you were doing that, and you mentioned the crowd, did the visualization include, for example, hearing crowd noise, or yeah, it did.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And then even in terms of my routine or processes when I bowled, I would have a clear. So once I ran in, bowled the ball, by the time I got past the stumps again, I would assessed what ball I bowled
Okay.
and then what ball I was going to bowl
What
next.
comes next?
And then by the time I got back to the back of my mark, I was clear
Okay.
of what my next ball was going to be.
Okay. Could I ask you about inside a game, the psychology of a bowler versus a batter? You know, when the game's live and you've had a tough over, how did you cope or adjust to go back to the next time you're up without that kind of contaminating you?
It is hard to do that, especially I suppose for me it was just trying not like if the batter was on top of you that over, then try not to show your emotions or show that they're on top. That's probably the biggest thing for me, was like your body language is really important. Now it might not have gone to plan for you, but your body language still has to be good. And that means like keep your head up, shoulders back. Just it's not gone to plan, but then it's just having that. I suppose the good thing about bowling over is then somebody else bowled another over, so you have time. So generally I would go down to fine leg or third man, and I would try and I suppose then just go through it, try and assess. I suppose for me, the thing is, especially different formats, the shorter format, for me was more about the process and the execution of what I was trying to do. And if I was happy with that, and if I was happy with one, my plan, and two, my execution, and he played a good shot, then I just
Good shot.
fair enough. But I suppose if I had a plan and I didn't execute and he's done it, well then obviously that's down to me. So for me it just made it really clear. Obviously you have to take the batter into consideration, but for me it was just trying to work or sort of focus on what I'm doing, and then just be very clear of, right, well he's been on top, what can I then do? Like generally you would try and have a plan A, B and C for certain batters.
So if you had an over where you didn't execute well, I'm thinking a little bit like golf. You've had a terrible shot, now you've got to walk to the next shot, and you've got this interval between that piece of action and the next one. So how do you cope with, I don't know, with the frustration of knowing you played loosely, knowing that you're going to go up in another few minutes and go again?
It is hard. It is hard, and I suppose the more I think when I was early in my career, I was very much, whenever things were going well, I was really high, and then whenever things were going really low, there were like real peaks and troughs there.
Okay.
Whereas I think the more I got used to having those processes and routines and trying to keep myself more level through that, like sport in general, cricket in general is such a, there's so many variables in it that can go wrong, and generally like I know when I was playing, and now I'd say to lads, like, generally you're gonna have more bad days than good days
Right.
in cricket, especially, but
Right.
I think sport in general.
Was that something that it was just you learning through experience, or did you talk to another bowler or other bowlers that you had a relationship with, or was it coaching, or
I would, generally everybody really. The coaches had a massive influence, and then just other players that maybe had gone through those experiences before. Like I know early on, if things didn't go well, I would have beat myself up really badly. I would have took it home. I'd have been thinking about it non-stop. It just kept there in the back of my mind. It would have consumed me.
yeah,
But that's not going to help situation either moving forward. So it was trying to recognize that, and I think that comes with experience.
Right.
But the sooner you can recognize that and try and have that's why then for me it then falls back to your processes and the routines that you go through, that they are the things that you can follow.
Or is that shaping the way you're coaching now then, with say younger cricketers?
Like definitely. I think that it is massively important for me to try and keep players, try and keep them as level as possible, because it is hard, and you do see players like you can see they're like beating themselves up because things haven't gone to plan, but it's trying to, I suppose, trying to help them just go through it, say listen, that's going to happen, but it's just having for me that the thing is I would rather have a player that has a plan of what they're trying to do rather than have no plan, and then they're completely struggling. So I always say a good plan or a plan is better than no plan. So it's just,
Otherwise, there's no mental framework for how you even try to make an adjustment.
Exactly. Yeah. So it is a massive. I think just in sport in general, it's a massive thing to try and help kids in general, because there is so much pressure on players these days. And it is a skill. It is a skill to try and.
Yeah. When you were bowling at the opposition, did it ever feel personal? Was it ever, I know this guy, I really want to get him out, or was he just the next man up?
No, not particularly. No, I obviously would have knew quite a few players that I would have played against, but it never really. No, it was for me. It was more about what I can do well here, and just for me, it was for me to bowl my best ball, and it didn't really matter who was down at the time. No, don't get me wrong. It does come into your mind if you're playing against some of the world's best players, like a Ricky Ponting, for example, who's one of the best. Well, I think he's one of the best players that's ever played, but. It is you could obviously overthink it and go to he's unreal, but that's not going to help either. So it's just it's trying to just have a clear mind and just say, listen, that whoever it is just bowl away as if you've bowled to anybody else.
So
it doesn't change.
It's keep me right here. So you're looking at the execution of your delivery, rather than I can't wait to get this so and so.
I think we obviously will have plans to certain batters, but I don't know. It's hard because we always had these team meetings and we would have spent hours going through all these players and this is what we're going to do, and then the next day somebody would get them out first ball and you'd be like,
and a plan. We just
spent 45 minutes on this player yesterday and then now he's out first ball. So
readjust now.
For me, there is definitely merit to it, and as a coach now, there is definitely merit to it. But for me, it's more as how much does the players want rather than how much we give them, because you can give too much information and then it doesn't help either. But I think going back to, it was very much trying to focus more on what I'm trying to do and let the rest sort of take care of itself.
I want to ask you about your career as an England cricketer in a moment or two, but because we're on the theme of the encounter between a bowler and a batter, I read an interview. BBC did an article on the Ashes series you played in 2012-13, was that?
Yeah, 13-14.
and you were interviewed. Graham Swan was interviewed in the same article. I don't know if you remember this article or not now, but can I quote you something Graham Swan said? I was going to call him Graham, I actually no. So I'll call Mr. Swan. Anyway, Graham Swan said he said that he said the atmosphere in Australia was, he called it feral, right? And he said the ICC had posters up asking the players not to sledge anyone on the basis of race, gender, or sexual orientation. And then Swan said, and then pretty much everything that's said to you is based on that.
Okay.
So someone outside of cricket, you read these articles and you hear about bowlers and batsmen going at each other. Is that what's your experience being around that in your career? Either people having a go at you, or you hearing teammates having a go at other players? Is it a big part of the game, or?
I would say it generally is, yeah.
Yeah.
From throughout my career.
Okay.
No matter whether it's international cricket or county cricket, generally somebody will try and sledge you along the way. I don't.
What did you get sledged when you were being sledged? What would they have gone after you about?
Well, they wouldn't generally sledge me when I was bowling.
Okay.
They would always, they would generally sledge me as a
When you came out.
tail order batter.
Okay. Right. So what sort of things would you have heard?
Just say that was crap, or it's like,
Right.
just
Crap's pretty gentle.
yeah, it's general, but
Yeah.
I probably couldn't say some of
Okay.
the stuff.
All right.
But for me, whatever's on the field ultimately stays on the field,
Yeah.
and ultimately they're trying to use it as a tool to try and get under your skin, to try and get you to do something that you don't really want to do,
Yeah.
or wouldn't normally do, I suppose, in that situation. But for me, personally, I wasn't a massive sledger. I would have tried to let what I did do the talking.
Okay.
But there was certain times when it did get heated in a few occasions.
Okay.
From if somebody would have, I've had a few times where batters have come at me with their bat.
Okay.
If I'm bowling, I might have bowled a couple of short balls and I
Right.
might have flew past their
Okay, right.
face.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't have been too happy
Yeah.
about it. But
Oh, you mean they would come down the wicket?
yeah, they would
Origin?
come down the wicket with the bat, looking
Okay.
to hit me.
Right.
And I'm like, well,
Okay.
I'm allowed to bowl a bouncer. So
Okay.
it's just,
Yeah.
I suppose for
And
me, it was,
and what happens? You stir them down, or you tell them to politely go away?
yeah, just say, go back to your marks. You're going to get
Okay.
another one next
Just-
ball. So
Just like that?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There was
Yeah.
no point, like, well, unless they really got aggressive,
Okay.
then it probably would have flipped the switch on me, and then I would have went.
Yeah.
But generally, I would have tried not to do that,
Yeah.
because it wouldn't have helped. Well, in a way, it probably would have helped me, because generally in my career, a lot of players would have said I would have played better the more wound up I was, or
Really?
so
Okay.
a lot of players would try and purposely wind me
you-
up
wi-
to get me fired up,
yeah,
basically.
in your own team. Yeah. Yeah.
To be more.
What could someone say that would fire you up in the right way? Like,
Just be something like, even something like, oh, you're not bowling very quick today, are you? Like, you're just like,
Yeah.
fuck, you're just like,
Okay.
they're not coming out. Like,
All right.
anything
just
with
things
balls,
to give
in
them a
terms
bit of
of
a reaction.
like a speed of ball or something.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right, okay, I'll show you now next
Yeah.
ball, whatever. So, but they knew what they were doing,
Uh-huh.
and it was more, they knew as well that was going to bring the best
Yeah.
out of me. So, I think that the good thing was, because I probably played for, more so for the likes of Warwickshire or Ireland for a long period of time, the players
Yeah.
knew each other so well that they knew if somebody wasn't quite on it, they
Yeah.
knew what to do
Yeah.
to try and help them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose get back to where they need to be. So,
It's interesting to hear you talk about that, because it's something about the intensity of wanting to win that will push people into almost any behaviour that they can get away with in order to get on top of you. And what about the people you're on tour with? Like, and you're in each other's company
a lot.
a lot.
Yeah.
How did you learn to manage that?
To be honest, most of the lads got on pretty well with one another.
Okay.
I think it depended on how long the tour was. I think then by the back end of certain tours, I think individuals then probably had enough of each other, but we were pretty good in a way that I think we all knew when lads wanted their own space. don't get we obviously do spend a lot of time on our own. But like whenever I first played, we would have had like twin rooms, so we would have been sharing with somebody, which I did quite like at times because you're obviously you're keeping with a bit of company, and you could chat to them. Well, it was cricket or something else, but it was good in many ways. But then at the back end of my career, it was more single room. So it is. I quite enjoyed it having a single room because I am quite sort of like insular. And just I do like my own time. So it was just, I suppose, just getting the balance right between the squad. Generally, we would have had a team room on most tours in the hotel we were at. So if lads wanted to be together, they could, and if they didn't, they could
go off
and do their own thing. But there's generally a group of like golfers that would go and do their own stuff, and then like there'd be another group of lads who go for a coffee or like whatever really. So generally we'd be pretty good. But yeah, I think it's natural if you're spending so much time with people.
But
you will.
I'm trying to think of another sport where people go away for so long. I think the Soccer World Cup's coming up. It's I don't know, maybe 8 weeks if you're a successful team, start to finish. You know, that's maybe half of a cricket tour.
Yeah.
There's been a spotlight on cricket and the mental health of cricketers, some of which has come through very tragic incidents. And could I ask you a bit about the stress or strain of playing cricket, whether it's linked to touring or just maybe it's just part of the nature of the sport you do. I read it. There's a report last year. It's in the National Library of Medicine in America, believe it or not, but it was done based on 500 first-class cricketers in England, and it surveyed anxiety, depression, alcohol consumption, and maybe unsurprisingly, it said anxiety and depression were often linked to form. You know, and we talked about Mitchell Johnson having a real slump, then having this resurgence. And 20 years earlier, Brearley wrote a book with a guy called David Frith, I don't know if you've heard of it, called Silence at the Heart of Cricket. And that research highlighted 23 England players who'd taken their own lives the previous 40 years and 125 first-class cricketers.
And there's probably quite a few since that too. That I know a few personally.
Really?
That I would have played with.
Wow. What's the relationship between that either someone coming into that position or being in very bad mental health and the sport itself? Like what's the correlation, do you think, between the two?
I think there definitely is. I think because there is obviously there's so much pressure on players in general now that doesn't matter what sport it is.
Okay.
But there is so much pressure. I suppose with cricket in general, it is obviously like you said it before. You spend a lot of time away from home, even if it's you're in your home country, like even in England, county cricket, you're basically living out of a suitcase for the summer.
Right.
So it's not just tours abroad, and there is, for me, I suppose in general, there probably is a link between cricketers and alcohol in general, just because it's probably a way to get away. Well, it's another way of get away from cricket, or having that like way of trying to like wind down, or whatever way you want to phrase it. But it is something that because you're in the spotlight quite a lot, you need that to. I'm not sorry, you don't need alcohol to do that, but I think it's a lot better now in recent years. But even when I know when I first started, it would have been a massive part of cricket in general.
Game, yeah. Okay.
And now with, I suppose, when you think of cricket, people probably think fitness isn't really a massive thing, but personally, I think it is. You've got to be super fit, especially as a fast bowler. You got to be super fit. So, but there is a massive correlation there. Like I know that after that Ashes tours that we spoke about, like I took a break for 6 weeks, maybe 2 months, Just mentally, I had gone
Yeah.
with obviously a lot of stuff that I discussed there.
Yeah.
It does take it out of you
Yeah.
mentally.
Yeah.
And I probably just fell out of love for the game for a while.
Wow. Okay.
Um,
It's a sport that, again, maybe golf. I'm trying to think of another sport where individual performance is measured. Your metrics are so precise.
yeah,
Almost the point not that your team win the game, but what were your own stats?
Yeah.
That must be something that players are very aware of.
yeah. No, massive. I think now with like performance analysis being so important, as you say, like every single ball is like tracked.
Yeah.
And everything is there for everybody to see. So it does put a lot of pressure on players, and definitely in England, the press in England are not shy of basically saying what they think,
Okay.
and whether that's right or wrong.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I suppose it's hard. Like generally, a lot of people are on social media these days as well, so you can't get away from it really unless you do block.
Yeah.
block yourself out of it.
Even in the course of your career, that's maybe changed a lot.
Yeah,
The impression I get, Boyd, when you look at a big game on TV, and you take a wicket and everybody runs in and people are high fiving, or some of your teammates are having to jump to high five you. I've noticed that, but you see this kind of the euphoria and the togetherness. But part of one of the questions in my head is it a lonely sport to play?
yeah. I think it is, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're obviously, it is a team sport, but ultimately it's down to you. If I'm at the back of my mark, I'm the one who has to perform here. I'm the one who has to execute what I have to do,
Okay.
and then everything else then follows after that.
Okay.
So it is, yeah, it is definitely hard. Now you try and get the right people around you to have that support network. I think that's massively important to have that support network to try and get your thoughts or bounce ideas, or just try and back up what you're thinking, to try and reinforce that. But I think it generally is a very individual sport, and whether you're a batter or a bowler, like it's probably even harder as a batter, because you could be in good form and get a really good ball and get out early, and that's you
That's it.
done. So for
It's
me,
like
you have
this,
to.
yeah.
For me, I think it's even more. But it's different as a bowler, because you still have another chance to go again and go again. Now, if you're out of form, it can be tough, because you still have to keep going.
Right.
Whereas a batter, if you're out of form and you get out, then you can get out and into the dressing rooms and you're okay. But
Yeah.
so there's different pressures there depending on what skill you're doing. But
Yeah.
generally, it is tough to try and get that balance, and that's why I think having that support network, like with you or trying to help you, is like massively important.
You went back to play for Ireland, and they got test status, and you go back and you're back in the Irish dressing room. What was that transition like? Did it feel, I don't know, safer, or you like a coming home?
Yeah, it just feels very natural for me to come back in. I knew all the players. I think 2 years before, 3 years before, we obviously played an ODI. Well, I made my ODI debut for England against Ireland in Dublin.
And you took
that
four
wickets.
Yeah.
And Owen Morgan scored 100 to win. So the two Irish lads basically beat Ireland, which is a bit surreal as well. But yeah, that for me, that was probably the most surreal, like not surreal, but the most weirdest situation I've been in a cricket field, because I was making my debut for England against Ireland. A lot of my mates that I was playing against, like William Porterfield, I think I was like obviously good mates with him. And it was just a very strange to then go and I'm actually playing against. I was like, you're trying to keep your distance because you're the opposition.
Yes,
And
but
it's
that's your.
It's just like, and I was that whole day, those whole couple of days was very, very strange. But ultimately, yeah, it was very special and very happy that I made my England debut that day, because then it obviously then sort of like catapulted me then to get on that Ashes trip after playing Australia as well that summer. So It is, um, it is. That was pretty strange, but
When you came back, you played in the first Test match.
Yeah.
Against Pakistan.
Pakistan in
Yeah.
Dublin, yeah.
And you take the first ever
Yeah.
Test wicket. Yeah.
Yeah.
that moment for me.
Yeah, pretty. That whole morning, we obviously, that was the first morning of the game. I was obviously, everybody got presented with a test cap. That was the first
Yeah.
Ireland test match, and
Yeah.
what was my second test cap?
Yeah.
Everybody
But
else's first.
First Irish one, yeah.
First Irish one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that for me, I suppose for me, having that experience previously, I was just, for me, was trying to just take everything in during that. The atmosphere was a really, really good atmosphere, packed house in Malahide, and just I was trying to learn, suppose, from the previous experience to just try and enjoy it as much as possible and try and take pressure off. And we've got a really good opportunity here to try and beat Pakistan. So yeah, I was just going through my. I suppose I did think about it, because ultimately, well, unless either myself or Tim Murtagh didn't take a wicket on our first spell, then somebody else would have had the opportunity. But I knew I had the opportunity to do that first.
Can you remember the ball and who was the batter and what?
Azhar Ali, I think, was the batter. I've nicked him off to second or third slip. William Porterfield caught it. I think it was third slip. Sort of squared him up. And
what's that moment like? The ball secure, you've got a wicket. Like,
just
take us into those couple of seconds when the realization of that.
Yeah, just real excitement, and yeah, I do enjoy celebrating the wicket, and yeah, just excitement, bit of like relief that we got into the game, that we got our first wickets, and we can sort of settle and go from there. But yeah, just everybody was just really happy to be there and to be in that occasion, and just yeah, it was pretty cool to be able to do that. I think we're obviously, I suppose during that day, it wasn't a massive thing in terms of taking the first Test wicket. We're ultimately there, we're trying to win a game of cricket, so ultimately all we're trying to focus on is let's try and get more wickets here and try and bowl them out for as cheaply as possible. But there was quite a few tears that morning.
Yeah.
I don't think I shed any, but there was a few from a few players just
Did
being able to get to that stage, because it was a long time coming for us, I think.
Do you miss playing?
I don't.
Or what is it about playing you miss?
I suppose just like, for example, of like the Test match is starting tomorrow, just that build up, like now leading up in the Test match, just that excitement.
This is Ireland versus New Zealand.
Yes.
We're doing this in late May, so it's
okay. Yeah, so yeah, it's just that excitement as well as nervousness leading into the Test match. I enjoyed that, but at the same time I didn't enjoy that feeling. But I knew that it was obviously a good feeling to have, that nervousness and I suppose excitement at the same time, that we were getting an opportunity to play a Test match come tomorrow. So yeah, just being able to influence the game. I'd love to be able to still bowl quickly without my without my body feeling sore. But
at your fastest, what speeds were you hitting?
90, maybe early 90s at my peak. So
That's quick.
it's a long time ago now, though. But
I want to bring us to a conclusion, but I want to ask you a bit about the role you're in now, and then I'll take you back to your career for a moment. The role you're in now, apparently cricket in Ireland's growing. The union are saying we've got from 15,000 to 50,000 players in the last 15 years. What's the challenge of getting more people on this island to play the sport, and how, what's your vision for that?
I think, well, obviously it's not the main sport in the country. There's obviously a couple of sports that's ahead of it, but for us to try and expand, I think we are, like, even in the Northwest where I would coach like a lot, we are doing a lot of good work in the primary schools to try and get kids involved at a younger age. The biggest problem is actually trying to keep them involved then as they get older. I suppose it goes back to the point before, is I suppose a lot of kids play a lot of sports at a younger age, and then they start to focus in on maybe one or two sports later on. So, and it's hard for us to keep the better ones. Like even one of our good young players from a few years ago now, when I first got into the coaching role, he made his debut for Ulster Rugby there a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Like a guy like James McKillop.
James
McKillop, yeah.
Well, actually, I know James.
Do you?
Yeah.
So he was a really good cricketer.
Buildings.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he was a really good cricketer. He played Northwest underage stuff.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he was always going to go down the rugby route.
Okay.
Can
you tell if you're doing that development work with younger athletes? At what age can you start to see there's a really good cricketer in here?
Generally, I reckon you can tell from 11.
Really? Okay.
11, 12 years old.
Okay.
I think if you were able to go back and look at the guys that have come through to play cricket for Ireland, that have come through the system, I would say the likes of Paul Sterling, Harry Tector, you would have been able to tell at 11 years old
they had ability.
They would have had ability at that point. I think it was like natural ability at that point.
You talked about the challenge of a small island where there's other sports, soccer, GAA, rugby, which McKillop's playing. Where you played a lot of your professional career in England, I think about 50% of professional cricketers went to private schools.
Yeah.
So you have that, certainly around England anyway, that kind of image of maybe elitism.
Yeah.
Is it very different here, do you think, in Ireland?
I would say it's very similar, to be honest.
Very similar.
If you look at all the guys that have come through that are now currently playing for Ireland, the majority of them would be from a well-off background, in my opinion, anyway.
Okay.
And it is hard because cricket in general, it probably is quite an expensive sport for parents.
Right.
Well, obviously there's a lot of kit involved.
Yeah.
Time. So it is. I suppose it is hard, but I think.
That's a tough one to crack. I mean, I know some rugby players are looking at lads playing GAA going, and vice versa, and then Rowan looking at both of them going, we could have them. So you're in this kind of competitive pool for the talent available.
But I think it's trying to. I think especially from our region, the Northwest, which is probably more of a. There's less money in that area, so it's probably more difficult for kids to try and make it.
Yeah, I know that if you're looking at the most deprived wards in Northern Ireland, the Northwest has about 12 of the top 20, and is for sure. Yeah.
And it's
how are you trying to crack that then?
And it's not, the other thing is, it's not for the lack of talent. There is very talented players there, but it's just, the problem is once they leave school, a lot of from other regions, if they have money, they'll either have money to go to university and then they'll have time to still play cricket, or they might just play cricket full time and they get their parents to try and help them.
Yeah.
Whereas that just doesn't happen in the Northwest, because they just don't have the money to do that. Generally, a lot of our better players go straight into work. Right. They go into.
Do the short forms of the game help you market it more to the younger generation, you think?
I think it does. Yeah. Well, generally, a lot of our cricket would be white ball cricket. Now, obviously, we're playing test match cricket tomorrow. For me, that's still like the pinnacle of where we need to get sort of focus our cricket, and we need to try and expand our first class cricket again in terms of red ball cricket, but. Generally, white ball cricket is our bread and butter.
Okay.
But I still think we can do. I still think we can market it better, to be honest.
Okay. Are you an unusual Test cricketer? He's played for England and played a lot of county cricket, because you didn't go to a public school. You went to school in Northern Ireland. You're from a farming background. You still hear the accent.
Yeah.
Do you think that allows you to? Are you in a position as a coach, you think, to make that bridge between the perception of elitism and, you know, middle class or upper middle class or whatever that label is into a wider population of players?
I would like to think so. Yeah, I think I have that understanding of both areas. I think.
Okay.
I obviously grew. I grew up in the Northwest. I grew up on a farm working hard, so I know the value of it. So yeah, it is. It's something that we do need to change, and it is. I think Cricket Ireland are aware of the stats as well. I know you spoke about the stats there for England, but I would say it's probably very similar stats
Okay.
here
It's a big challenge.
in general, and it is a massive challenge to try and change that. But I suppose the only way you can really do that from our point of view is probably try and have more money involved to be able to, if it was a summer contract to a really good young player coming through in the Northwest,
Right.
to be able to
Okay.
give him, to be able to let him play
Okay.
6 months, to be able to focus on cricket, because straight away he's on the back foot. If somebody's in Belfast who he might not be on a contract, but if he's training and playing full time,
Of course.
pretty much like a professional cricketer, against somebody who's working 9 to 5 every day and then trying to train, you're not in the same level. Like this guy in Belfast is automatically going to go
Okay.
much further.
What's the next step for you in your cricket journey now?
Good question.
Beyond the role you're in.
Well, my current role is head coach of the Northwest Warriors. I'm helping out this week at the test match. Probably more from a fast bowling point of view. That's my sort of like specialism. But yeah, I would like to see what happens. Really, I never really thought I would go into a head coach role. I probably always seen myself more as a specialist skills coach from a fast bowling point of view. I would love to one day be head coach, or not head coach, sorry, like fast bowling coach of Ireland.
Okay.
If I could do that at some point. But yeah, I'm probably just open to opportunities
See
to
what
try
comes.
and see what comes, and I'm sort of very open minded from a coaching point of view, to be honest. So
You can
we'll
still
see.
you can still play a bit of veterans GAA or rugby if you want to say that.
Well, there's now a
A few
veteran.
teams would be happy to have you.
Yeah. To be fair, I would love to
Yeah.
play a game of GA at some point.
Okay,
I'm
here's
not sure I'd be any good at it, but
I don't know, boy. I think you'll fetch a few balls. Here's my last question. This is very unfair. You know, this is like a desert island disc question, right? I'm going to mention 4 games from your career, and you can only take one of them with you to the island, right? We've talked about the 2007 World Cup Pakistan game. That you also mentioned the 50-over win when you played for England against Ireland.
yeah.
You got 4 wickets. And then 2012 50 overs. No, I've got this wrong. The 2011 50 over game where you beat England. I think
Yes.
Nella Brown got a century.
Uh-huh.
So 07 Pakistan World Cup. 2011 you beat England in the 50 over game. Then a year later you're playing for England and you beat Ireland. And the 2019 Ireland v England test match at Lord's where you guys bowled England
Bowled them
for
out for
85 in the first
85
innings.
first innings, yeah.
Right. Now, you only it's an unfair question because they're all yours. It's all your career. But you can only take one to Desert Island. You can only talk about one. Which one are you going to pick out as your biggest story?
It would have to be the 2007 World Cup, because that for me that was well, that's how it all started for me basically, and it's probably where it started for Irish cricket as well. So that's probably the biggest moment personally, and Cricket Ireland, that game. Yeah.
Okay. Boyd, I think we're done. Good man. Thanks a million. I hope that was okay.
That's fine. All good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.